Number 22 on the calendar in the matter of Schroeder versus Weeks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. Schroeder, the defendant is your daughter. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I'm having a little bit trouble hearing you.
Okay, I will speak louder. Your wife passed away recently,
Yes.
and it is your claim that your daughter took certain jewelry of your wife's that you would like back.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this claim is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Your daughter says that it was your wife's wish that she have this jewelry.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Weeks, was this the only property that your mother left?
She left some other family heirlooms and personal property, but nothing of significant value.
I assume that that's a box. Is that a box?
This is the watch that he claims, and the ring was my mother's.
I'd like to see both, please. Were your parents, Miss Weeks, estranged at the time of her death?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Well, in September of 1999, my mother was placed in an adult family home.
What was her illness?
Her diagnosis was multiple sclerosis at that time, and she was falling a lot. She was being left alone a lot, and Adult Protective Services were involved because of the fire department having to, she had one of those life call buttons. And the fire department was called to the house quite frequently to pick her up. And they felt that she was in a neglectful situation because she was not being properly cared for. And so Adult Protective Services started searching for alternative living arrangements for her.
And according to the complaint that I've read and your answer, there came a time around 1999 where you were given by your mother power of attorney.
That is correct.
Subsequently, in 2000, you were appointed her guardian.
That is correct.
Was her diagnosis ever modified from multiple sclerosis to something else?
Not officially, no.
All right. Now, what I found interesting about your answer was that in 2000 you were in fact appointed her guardian.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the court found that she was unable to take care of herself and make decisions for herself.
That is correct.
When was it that your mother told you that she wanted you to have this jewelry?
October, November of '99.
Did you take the jewelry at that time?
I did. And later, early part of 2000, she asked for me to give her back her ring because she wanted to wear it.
And she wore it until she died?
Yes, ma'am.
I do not want to get involved in, because I don't think it's necessary to estrange the two of you any further. Do you have siblings?
Yes.
How many?
I have 3 brothers and a sister.
Are you in touch with your other children, sir? Do you have any contact with your other children?
Pardon me?
Do you have any contact with your other
No, I
children?
don't.
So you have no contact with any of your children?
I have, even my youngest boy got up and left at the funeral when my wife, her services were. And my daughter, to my immediate left, didn't even take the time to go to her mother's funeral.
Ms. Weeks, very briefly, can you tell me why all of the children, from your perspective, don't have contact with their father? Your parents were married for, according to this, 47 years.
Yes. My father, from the time we were small children, was very abusive towards the 5 of us children, as well as my mother. And I have the guardian ad litem report that has statements to that effect, if you would like to see that. And he was never supportive of any of our decisions or anything that we felt we wanted to do, and was very mean, has said very mean and hateful things towards my middle brother, to the point
Okay,
where
so it's a whole history.
yeah, it's a very, very long and sordid history.
But, Ms. Weeks, doesn't it strike you that in early 2000, your mother wanted her wedding rings back? Why do you think she wanted her wedding rings back?
She'd been married and wearing them for 40 years, and she missed wearing them. And
That's usually a symbolic thing, that
it was a symbolic thing, yes.
she missed wearing them.
Yes.
I understand that you had gotten a protective order so that he didn't go to the nursing home after a certain point. At what point did he stop going to the nursing home?
In February of 2000 is when the order of protection was put into place. due to his behavior when he did visit her and phone calls that he made when he called her there.
I am going to try to resolve this issue, as I think, as wisely as I can. Your mother gave you this watch in 1999.
No, the watch, Bob gave her that watch late last year. If he wants that watch back, he can have that watch back. That watch has no significant sentimental value to me whatsoever. What has value to me are my mother's things. He abandoned their home, and if I hadn't retrieved the few family heirlooms that I had retrieved from the home, they would have been in the city dump.
I'm talking about these two things, Mrs. Weeks.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I can understand probably each of the children wanting to have a memento, something
Yes, ma'am.
to look at and to touch of their mothers. I can also understand from your father's perspective. Are you living alone now, sir?
I'm living, I have my own room. I'm taking care of a lady that will soon be 91 years old.
But this is somebody that you care for. This is a job.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why you want these wedding rings back, Mr. Schroeder.
I bought those rings for my wife 47 years ago. I gave my wife the first ring at her home at East Indiana when I was invited to supper by her mother, who has passed away. I feel I'm entitled to these rings. I paid for them since my daughter has made such terrible accusations about me, which are all unprovable. And I feel that I should have the rings and the watch back, plus other things that she took out of the home.
We're not talking about other things,
All right.
Mr. Schroeder. We're talking about the
ring
watch
and the watch. Yes, ma'am.
and the rings. Now, let me ask you this question, Mr. Schroeder.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had to make a choice between the watch and the rings as a memento, which would you want?
I want them both, Your Honor. I paid for them.
That's not the answer, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your children don't talk to you, Mr. Schroeder. There has to be a reason. And unless you want to live the rest of your life by yourself, I would suggest you do a little soul searching and figure out what that was.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Schroeder says his daughter, Julie Weeks, won't return his late wife's possessions. Julie says it was her mother's wish that she have the items.
Are they of equal importance to you?
Yes, ma'am.
You feel the same way. One was a gift to your wife.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you telling me, Mr. Schroeder, that each of these items are as important to you as the other?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm going to ask you the same question, Miss Weeks. If I were to ask you which of these items, memento from your mother, is more important to you, which would it be?
It would be her ring. I wear it every day.
Give her, Miss Weeks, the ring. Give Mr. Schroeder the watch. Mr. Schroeder, that was the wrong answer, sir. The fact that you paid for them and they were yours is not the answer.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to tell you why, Mr. Schroeder. Children don't replace emotionally the loss of a parent, in this case, their mother. Sometimes mates replace emotionally their mate. They may never forget, but they replace emotionally. If you said to me, I want the rings back because we were married with those rings, she wore those rings for 47 years, they're part of our history, I want them, I would have given you the rings. And you have to understand that, Miss Weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
But to you, it didn't make any difference. You said to me, I paid for both. They're equally as important to me, so I want them both. Well, I knew that they weren't equally as important to your daughter, right?
That's right.
You have the watch, you have the rings, you probably never make up, I assume. Is that right?
That is correct, ma'am.
I assume so. That's very sad, but
It is sad.
you're a grown-up adult, and he probably is a lonely old man who doesn't have, at this point in his life, the support of his children or his grandchildren. I assume you don't see your grandchildren either.
No, I have a call regularly from Mary Ann in Florida.
Well, Mr. Schroeder, you should do a little
Mary
bit.
Ann is It's Julie's oldest daughter.
How old are you, sir? How old are you?
70 years old.
Well, that's not so old, Mr. Schroeder. There's still time for you to try to do something to get back into the good graces of your family. But you also have to look at yourself and say, what is it that I did over the last 45 years to my family that makes them all cut me off? Your children don't talk to you, Mr. Schroeder. There has to be a reason. And unless you want to live the rest of your life by yourself, I would suggest you do a little soul searching and figure out what that was. Thank you very much. Case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've tried to be kind to Bob. I've tried to show him care, and every time I open up and try to be kind to the man, he is hateful towards me.
I hope that someday that I can get to a point where I can see my grandchildren.
He has made the decision about his family.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Schwab versus Fadin. Step forward, please.
Office manager Bonnie Schwab is suing travel agent Giancarlo Fadin for the cost of 2 tickets to Greece. Bonnie says she won the tickets in a raffle, and Giancarlo reneged on the prize.
Miss Schwab, you were the lucky winner of 2 tickets to Greece
Yes, I was.
about 2 years ago.
May of 2000.
And where did you win these tickets?
At the Valley Greek Festival that they have every year in May.
Was it a raffle ticket?
It was a raffle ticket. A girl I work with, her children go to school there, and I bought tickets.
And due to circumstances, according to your complaint, you were unable to use the tickets for a while. The defendant had donated the tickets. You have a travel agency, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you want to use the airline tickets. The defendant says you waited too long. That's your defense. Is that pretty much it?
Pretty much it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bonnie Schwab says after entering a raffle at a Greek festival, she won 2 tickets to Greece. Bonnie claims travel agent Giancarlo Fadin is trying to renege on the prize.
Do you have a copy of the stub, your contest stub, or any other literature from the
I
contest?
have a letter from the church stating that I won first prize in the raffle.
Okay. All right, and that was in May of 2000.
Right.
Did you schedule the trip?
We scheduled a trip. Mr. Faden gave us an itinerary when we went to see him in
Who's
January.
we?
My boyfriend at the time. We went to see him, and he wrote us an itinerary. We discussed with him that we would like to go to Italy. Mr. Faden said we could go to Italy instead of Greece, so he prepared an itinerary. At
And
that
this
time
was done in January?
of 2001,
And when were you planning to take the trip?
May of 2001. Subsequently, due to circumstances beyond my control, I was not able to go with my boyfriend. So I called Christine, Mr. Faden's wife, and asked them if I could put the trip off until October of that year. And they
October?
agreed to, of 2001, and they agreed that they would do that.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then what happened?
Well, then the summer passed, and then September 11th happened. I was afraid to travel, especially to Europe. Being an American, I didn't know what would happen. The airlines and the airports were crazy. So I wrote them a letter and faxed it to them in October, and I received no response. I asked them to call me.
Do you have a copy of that letter?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you acknowledge receiving a letter from her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, we have a standard letter that we send to the organization. We donate to the Italian community, in this case the Greek community, because we specialize travel to Europe, especially Italy
Yes.
and Greece. And the letter pretty much states to
Well,
the-
let me take a look at the letter that you say that you send
Okay.
to everybody, but
Correct.
you didn't send it to the plaintiff.
Well, we
No.
wouldn't have, because we would have sent it to church.
No, but you,
I never saw that
just a
letter.
second. You say here that the tickets are valid for 1 year from the date of the prize drawing, and this is dated March 15th of 2000. I have no idea when this was typed, Mr. Faden, but certainly you cannot impugn the information here to the plaintiff unless it was written on the stub that grand prize, 2 tickets to Greece. Trip must be taken within 1 year.
We donate the tickets to the church with the intent of creating goodwill in the community. The church is then raffling and selling the tickets and collecting the money from, in this case, Ms. Swab. And we have no responsibility on that.
You do. You have responsibility for the 2 tickets, sir. First of all, you agreed to put...
We have donated the 2 tickets to church.
No, you have donated the 2 tickets, not to St. Nicholas Church, Mr. Fade. You have donated the tickets to be used as part of a raffle. I don't see what your problem is, Mr. Faden. It would seem to be now, if you wanted to purchase 2 tickets to Greece, it would be a lot cheaper than it was 2 years ago.
Well, let me explain. After September 11, my company lost $200,000. When the lady called to postpone her trip, I wasn't even sure that I would be in business the following spring.
But you are in business.
Well, thank you. I worked very hard for it.
Good, but you are in business, so you have to give her tickets.
I would like to call my witness at a certain point, Your Honor.
To say what?
Because she really dealt with pristine strategy most of the time.
More than happy to hear from the witness if she has something else to say.
No, I can stand. Your Honor, I don't know exactly what to say. I think I do understand that there was perhaps a miscommunication between the agency and the church and perhaps Ms. Schwab. However, when September 11th came, again, as Giancarlo has said, we really didn't know where we stood, and perhaps it's difficult for somebody who doesn't work in the travel industry to understand. There were literally envelopes, I mean loads of tickets coming back. Every phone call was a cancellation. It came so late. It came 2 years later, and I understand
well, it didn't come 2 years later. It came a year and a half later.
A year and a half
and
later.
you had already agreed to allow her to take the trip in October.
I understand that.
So
but
if
again,
you allowed her to take the trip in October, despite the fact that you really didn't have any choice, but you said, okay, you want to travel in October, travel in October, and then the events of September 11th, which you acknowledge devastated your business.
Totally.
You had no time to respond to this letter that she sent.
No,
because you were
really.
trying to
I
keep
was
your
too
heads
busy
above water.
Correct.
So you acknowledge that it was a tumultuous time.
Absolutely.
In your world, it was this important. This whole trip was.
It seems as though it's been changed.
It has been changed to less than it was.
Okay.
If you look very carefully, it's been changed to, I looked at that myself. It's been changed to a lesser amount.
Those
not
aren't
a
my
great.
initials, by the way.
That's your signature, however. I've
That
compared
is
it
my
with the
signature.
signature on the answer. That is your signature.
It is.
So now you remember signing that agreement.
I did,
Good. Now may I have it, please?
but not for that amount.
No, not true, sir. Because the original amount on this was some $1,500 and some odd dollars, and that was changed because the Sprint bill was not $200 and some odd dollars, but only $115. So it was reduced. You see that? It was reduced, not increased.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. You signed it. How much of this did you pay?
At the time, I wasn't able to pay.
Not at the time. At any time. How much of this did you pay?
$400.
Okay. Is that how much you paid back?
He paid back $350.
All right, he said 400. You have proof of 400?
Yes, I do. I have canceled checks. I also paid in money orders, and I don't have the receipts for those.
Okay.
But I'll be honest and say he did pay me $350, even though he doesn't have the proof of that.
Okay. $1,130. That's what's left
Correct.
on the debt. Mm-hmm. And you're suing him for $2,028. Explain that to me.
Actually, on the lease agreement he signed, it says that he must give me a 30-day, 1-month notice prior to moving out. And when
Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
his friend actually moved in at the same time, and they both had the same agreement.
I asked you a question. I want you to give me the answer. Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
We all moved in at the exact same time, basically.
Are you still living in the same place?
Yes, I am.
With whom?
I have roommates now.
Okay. Now, you left, sir, November 2nd,
Yes, that's correct.
2001. Does your lease agreement provide that you give her 30 days' notice?
Yes, it does.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because she caused me to lose my job and sabotaged my career.
Okay, now let me hear your reason why she caused you to lose your job.
Okay. At the time, I had a job a regular job as a guitar player in a successful rock band. We were touring and we were on the East Coast, and I borrowed the money from her because our singer had an accident and broke a rib. I didn't have any money to pay the bill at the time, and so she offered to pay it, and I accepted. She said that I could pay her back when I had the money. However, over the next few months, she became very jealous, and it started getting really out of hand. She started calling me nonstop. She started going through my mail. She started going down my phone bill and calling every number on the phone bill. As a matter of fact, I have a phone bill here where her notes are evident, where she was looking for whether it would be a man or a woman answering the phone, and whether or not she would approve.
I still don't understand how she caused you to lose your job.
She was very jealous, and so when I was out on the road touring with a rock band, there are inherently situations that arise where women can get crazy, and she was aware of this, and she became very jealous, and she wanted me to come back to Los Angeles really bad. So what she did was she started to call the singer's wife.
Did you call the singer's wife?
She's a close friend of mine.
What kind of conversation did you have with her?
I asked her if she had heard from her husband because Mark hadn't called me in a week, and he was my boyfriend at the time, and I was very concerned and worried because I had just gone through his pants pocket and found a phone number from a girl, which I called, who is a dancer, a stripper in New Orleans, and I spoke to her on the phone, and she did confirm, you know, that she had been talking to Mark, and she actually forwarded me the emails that Mark had sent her. So it did actually confirm that he was
Okay, so what did
cheating
you
on
call
me.
this woman for?
She's just my friend. I just wanted to know if she had heard from them. I was trying to call him and contact him because we were in a relationship. So if I hadn't heard from him in 3 days, I was very upset. I was seeing, you know, I was under stress, and I was seeing, you know, I had lost some of my hair because of stress. I mean, it was just very, very bad. But he actually, after I found out,
how did that cause you to lose your job?
She's told her so many stories that she finally, the singer's wife that is, finally started to call the singer and tell him that she was filing for divorce, she was going to take their daughter, and that he would never see them again. And in order to keep the peace in his family, he had to let me go.
That's
I would have
not
done
true.
the same
That's
thing.
true, sir. That's a lot above my system.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Did you borrow her pants? Don't tell me I don't want to hear
Yes, I borrowed
All right, now, when did your cousin borrow them?
Yeah.
Oh, God, give me strength.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Eckert says ex-boyfriend Mark Zavon owes for rent and for unpaid loans. Mark says Sherry is holding his belongings.
All right. You all moved into this apartment together? Is
That's
that
correct.
right? And each of you were to pay $500 a month?
That's correct.
Each?
Yes.
Okay. So he owes you $1,630. He didn't give you a month's notice. That's so far. You have a counterclaim, sir, for $5,000. You claim that she caused you to lose your job.
That's correct.
That would be the reason that you just gave me, that you called the singer's wife and complained and told her a whole bunch of stories. Which,
Yeah, he was very happy. Excuse me.
That the singer is not here, the wife is not here.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's all hearsay. That's somewhere out here that I don't hear. All right, now the next thing that you're counterclaiming for is personal property that you say that she sold at a garage sale. What's the nature of the personal property?
Well, it's basically things like a mountain bike, camping gear, grill.
Why didn't you take that with you when you moved out?
At the time, I had just flown back from Battle Creek, Michigan. They dropped me off in the middle of nowhere, you know. So I had to find my way back to Los Angeles, and I had a U-Haul. I went to get my stuff.
So you got a U-Haul?
Yes, I did. And I started to load my stuff into the truck, at which point Sherry came home, and she started to throw my stuff out into the driveway and damage my stuff. And I was just trying to get out of there as fast as possible. I just wanted to be gone.
Yeah.
And so I did my best to get everything I could.
Yeah.
But I was unable to get everything. That
was in November of 2001. Is that right?
And I've tried to get my stuff back since then.
Well, what have you done?
I asked her if she would give me my stuff back, and she said that she would if I paid her the money that I owed her. So I began paying her some money in order to get my stuff back. But I never received one thing. She would say that she would give me the stuff back, and then she would change her mind. And I never did get one thing back.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, actually, the camping gear he's talking about is a sleeping bag, which I purchased. Here's the receipt. And
You purchased it for whom?
For when we were going to go on a camping trip, but it was been returned. It
was
got
a
returned
gift.
within the same week.
It was a
so
gift.
when he's talking about camping gear, it's something I own. The things that he's talking about are my things. He got
Like what?
everything that out of there.
Just a
he was
second.
talking
Let me see
about
your list. Let me see your list.
the bike. I don't even know what he's talking about. He never left a bike or any property there. There's nothing there.
Mountain bike, space heater,
I never saw it. I don't know what he's talking about.
weight bench.
That's actually Todd's, his friend's weight bench. It's not his.
What about the incline bench?
That's also Todd's. That's not Mark's.
I don't know what she's talking about. This is all my property.
No. Well, then I feel like he had a U-Haul that was a huge truck, and before I got home, he had the whole thing packed. So I don't know why he didn't just take anything that he felt was left behind.
I don't know either. And I don't know why. And I don't know why he waited for a year to come after all this stuff anyway. In any event, you didn't pay any rent. Is that right?
I paid rent right up until the time that I was
No, you didn't pay any rent after you moved out, did you?
No, I did
right,
not.
then you should have come to get all this stuff.
I tried to, but she wouldn't let me come over, and I didn't want to come over if it...
Then what you do is you go to court.
That's
do you understand?
true. Yes,
what you do is you sue. What do you expect her to do? Hold on to all this stuff for a year?
I tried to get it back continuously.
Then what you tried by going to court, just like you did now.
I understand.
And you do so promptly.
Yes, ma'am.
It's easy. It's easy for her. She's got an IOU. IOU makes it easy. A lease makes it easy. But you don't leave a whole bunch of stuff, if this is your property, for a year and then say, oh, by the by, I want my property back. So you forget about that. You owe her $1,630. Isn't that what I said? $1,630?
$1,630.
Pay the money. Goodbye.
Eyes are excused. You may step out.
It was a jealous nightmare.
His unfaithfulness and his cheating and his liaisons with groupies on the tour bus actually was the breaking point of the relationship.
She really didn't like the whole idea of someone being out on the road.
He couldn't stay faithful.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Doss versus Harold. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Jennifer Doss is suing her former best friend, 18-year-old student Nicole Harold, for unpaid rent, damage to her car, and for ruining a pair of slacks.
Ms. Doss, the defendant is or was a friend of yours, and your claim has three parts to it. First, it is your claim that she owes you for rent. She moved in with you and your family, and according to you, agreed to pay your mother some rent. She didn't pay your mother rent, you paid your mother, and therefore you want her to repay you. So far correct?
Yes.
Number two, you claim that she set fire to the inside of your car with a cigarette and damaged it. You wanted to pay for that. And number three, you say that she borrowed some clothes of yours, a pair of jeans, and destroyed them, damaged them by cutting off the bottoms, and you wanted to replace the jeans.
They're not jeans, they're dress pants.
Pants. The defendant says you burned the car yourself or somebody else did. She didn't do it. There was never an agreement for rent, and your pants don't fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you move into her house?
I was having family problems at my aunt's house, and I guess I was with her. We were at Firestone Park, this park we were at.
Don't go into all this. I don't care where you were at.
Okay.
You were having family problems at home, and she invited you to come and live with her?
Yeah, she said it would be okay for me to stay.
Okay.
And there was never no agreement. Her mom said if I had a job to help around, like help out, if I had a job.
When you moved, listen to me. Why don't you let me ask questions? When you moved in with her, were you working?
No.
Is that right?
Yes.
So how did you expect her to pay rent?
Well, me and my mom tried several times. We went and put in applications. Me and Nicole both, we went together.
Could you keep your voice up? You went to put in applications for what?
Well, we went to Rubbermaid and...
To find a job?
Yes.
But at the time she moved in with you, she had no job.
Yes.
So how did you expect her to pay rent?
We were going to get a job.
But she didn't get a job.
No.
Good. So there's no rent. You think that I believe that you gave your mother rent for her? You think I believe that? That's what you say in your complaint. Is that what you're going to tell me here in court, that you gave your mother rent for her?
Yes, I did.
I don't believe you. How's that? Next thing is your car. Tell me about your car.
Well, me and Nicole went up to Chapel Hill Mall, and she was smoking, and we met up with one of her friends, and she asked me if I wanted to go over to their house. I said fine, because we weren't doing nothing at the time. We were just driving around. And when we pulled up in front of their house, she went to put her cigarette out on a Taco Bell cup, and she dropped her cigarette, and it went under the seat. And she told me that she put it out, and when I turned on my dome light, there was smoke coming out from under my seat, and I started yelling at Nicole, and she still insisted that she put it out. And then when I reached my hand under the seat, I found the cigarette, and I had burn holes in my seat and on my floor.
And what about on your hand?
No, I didn't have them on my hand.
Well, was the cigarette out or not?
It was a little bit out, but by the time I found it, it was out.
And let me see the damage to your car.
And there was also a time where she burnt the ceiling because she didn't roll down the window far enough to flick it out, and I also have pictures of that, too.
What is this, on the seat?
Yes, on the bottom of the seat.
Underneath?
Yes.
Can you see it when you look at the car?
No.
And what about this?
That's the ceiling.
Okay. So you can't see the cigarette hole when you look at your car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you fill up under the seat and you can feel it.
Did you fix it?
No, I have not yet.
Are you going to fix it?
Yes, I am.
Why?
Because I just bought my car 4 months before that happened, and I'm trying to trade it in so I don't have all these.
Well, maybe if you don't tell anybody, they won't know that there's a little hole underneath the seat where you have to put your hand.
Well, the
If you wanna
dealership
sell
already knows about it.
Who told them?
I did because I wanted to get it fixed.
Did you put out a cigarette in her car?
I put
Just-
it at the top on accident. The top I did. The little burn
So
hole.
this you did?
Yeah, one. There's like a lot of them, but I did one.
There were a lot of them. From where?
From the back seat when she had like tons of people in the back and smoking. She like crowded people in her back seat.
Is that true?
I have a paper right here. It said that there was no other burn holes found when the guy
yeah, but it was
inspected my
under
car.
it was under the seat.
He
and there's people in
inspected the
back
whole
and it
car.
fell.
So the answer is you did burn a hole in her car. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, not the ground, not the seat.
Just this?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Shouldn't let people smoke in your car. All right, let's talk about the pants. Did you borrow her pants?
Them
Don't tell
pants-
me I don't want to hear I can tell when you're telling me the truth. I can tell when you're lying. So I don't care what you wrote in your answer.
Okay.
Forget about that. Did you borrow her pants?
Yes, I borrowed them.
All right, now that's good. Not your cousin, you borrowed her pants. And did you cut her pants?
No, my cousin Jamie did.
But
And I
you
told her-
borrowed. But you borrowed them.
Yeah. So
And
did
you're
Jamie.
responsible.
She borrowed it too, Jamie, when we were all going to the club. And I told her the next day that Jamie cut them, and she said, I don't know, she said something to Jamie.
Explain that to me.
All right.
You borrowed the
Yeah.
pants?
Yeah, I borrowed them once.
And then you returned them to her?
I was living with her.
You returned them to her?
Yeah, but it wasn't cut up yet.
When did your cousin borrow them?
Yeah. When we
Oh, God, give me strength. Not yeah. When requires a date.
It was after I wore them. Because when she first
Who
got
did
it.
she borrow them from?
Her.
Is that right?
Jamie never wore these. She had a different outfit of mine on.
Did she ever borrow them from you?
Nicole did, but Jamie did not.
Really?
Yes.
Let me see the bottom.
They're cut up over on this side, and right here.
Now, you understand that in your answer, you said to me that you never borrowed her pants because her pants wouldn't fit you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a So that was a lie. Is that right?
Right.
You both lie. How could you both lie? Why would you both lie in court? Isn't that a stupid thing? You didn't pay your mother any rent, and you, in fact, did borrow her pants. And you did cause some damage to her car. You should be responsible for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Okay, good. How many people smoked in your car within the last month?
None. There has not been no smoking in my car since Nicole burnt the bottom of my seat.
Then let's say prior to Nicole burning the hole in your car. How many people smoked in your car?
Maybe about 3 or 4, not that many.
3 or 4 is a lot of people. I thought you told me in your complaint that you had a no-smoking car.
I do, but I told everybody that smoked in my car, if they can smoke responsibly, they can smoke in my car. But if they can't, I don't want them smoking in my car.
That's a lie. Can I see those pants, please? Tell me about why you moved out.
Me and her got in an argument, and I
What'd you get into an argument about?
Guys or something. Like, we were at her boyfriend's house, and ever since then, we weren't talking anymore.
So you moved back home?
Yeah.
All right. How much did you pay for these pants?
They were $42 for the whole outfit. I have a letter from the place where I got them from.
Can I see that part, please? When did you buy them?
Probably about a year ago.
Did you ever wear them?
Yes, I have.
How many times did you wear them?
Maybe twice.
Okay. And they were $42. I'm giving you $300 for the hole in your car and $42 for the pants. You get nothing for the rent because that was a fib. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount.
Sullivan versus Sims. President sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Sullivan, I assume this is your daughter, is
Yes.
that right? And this is your son-in-law?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, your daughter and son-in-law purchased a car that was for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in March of last year.
Correct.
And the agreement was that you would make a monthly payment that would cover the car payment and insurance.
Correct.
To your daughter and son-in-law.
Correct.
And you would have the car, and when the car was paid off, I assume it would be yours. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You did have the car for a period of time. Then you had an accident with the car in a parking lot. And you called your son-in-law.
Yes.
According to you, you put a note on the car.
Yes.
Did you put the note on the other car, or did your son-in-law?
I put it on the car that I hit, right
Yes.
next to me.
On the note was?
My name, phone number, and that I worked next door at Randall's, and the phone number.
You believe he took the note off the car you hit?
Yes.
Because they never contacted you.
Correct.
And there was damage to that car.
Yes.
You didn't do that, did you, Mr. Sims?
No, ma'am.
And shortly thereafter, Mr. Sims repossessed the car and sold it. You are suing, according to your complaint, for the whole value of the car.
Correct.
Which you're not entitled to. So let's be realistic. Let's say you're suing for the payments that you made on the car. April, May, June, July, and August, if you made the 5 months worth of payments.
Mm-hmm. And I did not miss a payment.
Okay.
I was told...
And that's your statement. I did not miss a payment. And that was our agreement, and he had no right to take the car back,
Right.
and therefore I want the payments. How much were your payments each month?
Well, he told me $200 when we signed the original agreement. $200 a month, that included insurance.
How much was the insurance on the car, Mr. Sims?
$62.96.
Mr. Sims, how much did you pay for the car?
I purchased the car for $1,500. I put $600 of the repairs to the car because I purchased it damaged.
Okay, and you sold it when?
About 2 weeks ago.
And how much did you sell it for?
$3,200.
And how much did you pay to fix it as a result of the accident that your mother-in-law had?
What she did, she bent the door around to the fender.
Just tell me how much you paid to fix it.
$150, but it didn't fix it correctly. It just made the door open and close. It did not repair the car back to the original condition.
Say nothing. Yet. Say nothing
Okay.
yet.
All right.
So let's say you spent $2,200 on the car.
Correct.
You sold it for $3,200, giving you $1,000 profit, and your mother-in-law gave you $137 a month times 5 equals $685.35. So you got that too.
Correct.
So this is going to take care of your counterclaim, because you're suing her for $660 for miscellaneous damages incurred in relation to the car. That's your counterclaim. That's out, because you had no loss, sir. You have a profit.
All right, I understand.
You have a profit. So you suffered no damage. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Now let's talk about what your mother-in-law wants.
Okay, I need to speak.
Now I'm ready.
He works at a body shop. He didn't pay nothing to have that car fixed.
I don't care whether he did or
Okay.
whether he didn't.
And he
I don't-
raised
that
the
has nothing-
payments.
That has nothing to do with you.
He raised my payments from
To what?
$200 to $230 a month.
When did he
Before
change?
I made the first payment, I'm sorry,
Just a second.
April.
Okay,
April
230.
11th. He raised it.
Is that right, sir?
Well,
Is that right or wrong? She has proof. I'm sure she has checks or
here.
whatever. Is that
yeah,
correct?
we agreed on the raise of the payment. It was due to the insurance increase.
So we have 230 less 62.96, 167.04 times 5, $835.20. I'm going to give you 1 minute, Mr. Sims, to explain to me why you don't think that you owe your mother-in-law $835.20.
We had an agreement that she was going to purchase the car, like you said. But also in that agreement, no one was supposed to drive the car. Well, she was letting the other brother-in-law drive the car, which I had a witness see him in the car. Also, she took the car to Chicago against my wishes, taking it out of town. Our original agreement was that the car was mine. I purchased the car, put it in my name, I put the insurance in my name, I registered it in my name, and I told her, here's the car, this is what we're going to do. You pay the car to me each month, and then when 13 months are over, I'll sign it over to you, do whatever you like. But in the time that you're driving the vehicle, the liability is on me with my insurance and everything covering me. I don't want anyone driving it. Drive it, do your errands, run back and forth to work. But I don't want the car leaving the state. I don't want the car going anywhere. Just keep it here in town.
Mrs. Sims, I read that. I read your defense, sir. However, your problem is you didn't take it back from her then.
Okay, you're right.
You took it back from her when she had an accident in the parking lot.
I didn't take it back from her. What she did, she was letting people drive the car. Then when she damaged the car, then when she damaged the vehicle, she brought the car to me and handed me the keys and wanted me to fix the vehicle. The daughter-in-law got upset with me and mad because I wouldn't file an insurance claim against my own policy to make me pay the increase over the next 3 years. And so they started feuding all over again. That's when I talked with her and I asked her, hey, we need to do something different here. Can you go get a loan for the balance due on the car? I can sign the car to you and we can quit all this fighting and carrying on and be done with it. You can do what you like. She agreed to go get her own loan.
Stop playing with the papers.
Sorry.
She went out, tried 2 or 3 different banks. No one would loan her the money because of her past history and her credit. is so horrible she couldn't get it. So then she comes to me and says, you know what, I'm going to save the money for 6 weeks. Can you hold the car 6 weeks and I'll pay you in full? 4 weeks go by. She calls my wife and says, I got $20 to my name. I can't pay it. I said, okay, what are we going to do now? She said, well, I'm just going to take you to court and sue you for my interest. I said, well, how about I give you all your money back? I offered to give her every penny she paid, including the insurance. She agreed to that too. Then on Sunday morning, she calls and tells me, no, she don't want to do that either.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know whether or not you took off the note, if there was a note placed on the other car in the parking lot. If you did, that was a foul thing to do.
And later today,
the vet told us there was no way the cat could have broken its leg in 5 places just from tossing off the side. She had to have been pretty much slammed to the ground to have broken it the way it did.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Phyllis Sullivan says son-in-law Chip Sims repossessed her car for absolutely no reason. Chip says Phyllis has been irresponsible with the vehicle.
What you should have done, Miss Sullivan, is take him up on his offer. Because if he was willing to give you all the money that you paid in the car, including the insurance, you should have accepted it. Because from me, you're only going to get the money that you paid on the car itself, less the insurance.
Your Honor.
Yeah, what?
The car, I mean, this was a business contract. I couldn't get a loan because I filed bankruptcy.
Show me the business contract.
All right?
Show me the contract. Show me what it says. Show me
Can
the
I say
contract.
something?
Shh. Nobody drove that car. His so-called character witness has a warrant for his arrest for hitting a police officer.
Would you please stop talking and hand me the contract?
I'm sorry.
You don't have one.
There's the contract. This is my thing from bankruptcy. And
no, listen to me. I asked you for the contract.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you ever have a conversation with your mother about somebody else driving the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. Tell me when.
Less than a month into the deal with the car.
Tell me what
2
the
weeks
conversation
into it.
was.
I called her to let her know that we had spoken to a fellow family member who saw someone else driving the car. When I asked her about it, she proceeded to cry and say, I would never do something like that. You told me you didn't want anyone driving the car. I wouldn't do that. I would never hurt you or Chip like that. That's our agreement. I wouldn't let someone drive the car.
Okay. I have to make a determination as to what your damages are, Miss Sullivan.
Okay.
And by the way, Mr. Sims, I don't know whether or not you took off the note, if there was a note placed on the other car in the parking lot. If you did, that was a foul thing to do. Otherwise, I cannot understand why somebody would not have contacted you to have their car fixed. It's not reasonable that if you come out and you see somebody left their name and number and said, I hit your car.
Right.
That they would not contact that person unless the note was taken off the car. In any event, I believe that you're entitled to, based upon this agreement, you're entitled to your money back, because this agreement says that if at any time I default upon my payments, Ronald has the right to take the car back, and I will forfeit any payments already made. She never defaulted on her payments, so you had no right to take her car back.
I didn't take the car back. She brought the car to me.
I don't believe that's true. And I believe that you made a profit. Now, just shh, quiet. I believe that you made a profit on the car. You don't have to make a really handsome profit. So instead of making $1,838, you're only going to make $1,000 worth of profit.
$1,800 because she'd already filed this suit once, which I had to hire an attorney to fight her the first time, that she never showed up to court. I had
well,
to
I don't
fight
have that. Listen to me, Mr. Sims. Mr. Sims.
I've got the original court
I don't
and
have
a dismissal from it.
Pay careful attention to me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have that as part of a counterclaim.
Right.
In any event, what I'm telling you is, you have the right, if you sold the car, you made a profit. Your profit was in excess of $1,000.
Well, I kept the car for 5 months waiting to solve this case, waiting to go to court, which we had our court date. She didn't appear.
What difference does it make, sir? What difference does it make as far as the profit that you made?
Right, exactly.
She put in $835.20. That's less the insurance over a 5-month period, and she's entitled to get it back under your contract. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just want them out of my life. I just want to go on about my own life and let her live her life, let me live mine.
He couldn't claim it on his insurance because he's got too many other insurance claims going on.
This isn't the first time in my life my mother's disappointed me.
My son-in-law, Chip, told me that I'm putting the stake in the family.
We warned her before she filed this suit to let her know she would never see me and she would never see her grandson again. She continued to do it, and I'm going to stand by my word.
I'm very hurt. I'm going to miss my daughter and my grandson.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Block versus Ulrich. Step forward, please.
Loan officer Chris Block and his wife Deanna are suing their neighbor, cleaning company vice president Steve Ulrich, for vet bills. The Blocks claim the son of Steve's girlfriend, 12-year-old Dustin Miller, threw their kitten down a flight of stairs.
Mr. and Mrs. Block, who's going to speak for you?
Oh, well.
Okay. Neither one of you were home at the time of this incident with the kitten?
No.
Okay. Who was home?
Both kids, I believe, right? No, my son.
Very good. So why don't you have a seat, the two of you? Step up. Mr. Ulrich, this is not your son. You are his guardian, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You weren't there on the 3rd of October, is that right?
Yes.
You were not there.
I was not there.
Why don't you have a seat? Step up here, young man. What's your first name?
Devin.
Devin?
Yeah.
And yours?
Dustin.
All right, this is the complaint. On behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Block, they had a kitten, and they claim that Dustin purposely injured their kitten, causing the kitten's leg to break, and the kitten had to have leg reset. There were substantial medical bills, and they want the defendant to be responsible for those medical bills, you or his mother. The defendant says that Dustin was merely defending himself from this kitten. So let's see what happened. Devin?
Yes.
I want you to tell me what happened on October 3rd with your kitten. How old, first of all, tell me how old the kitten is.
When it happened?
Yes.
About 4 months.
And Dustin was a friend of yours?
Yeah.
Did he play over at your house often?
Yes.
Okay. Did Dustin like the kitten?
Yeah.
So tell me what happened that day.
Well, we were playing video games, and he said he's going to go to the bathroom. And then he comes back, and he says that I didn't really go to the bathroom. I went to go play with the kitten. Well, later that night, she was limping and crying, and you'd touch her leg, she would cry. And we asked him when he went to go play with the cat if he did something, but he said that she was biting him and that he just got angry and annoyed, and he tossed her off the stairs.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tell me what happened, Dustin.
I was playing with the kitten when it bit me, and then
Well, tell me exactly where you were when you were playing with the kitten and it bit you.
I was on the stairs.
What do you mean on the stairs?
Like, the kitten was on the stairs, so I was, like, sitting and petting it.
And the kitten bit you?
Yes.
And what happened after the kitten bit you?
Like, I pulled my hand back to get it off, and it fell off the stairs.
How did it fall off the stairs?
The stairs is not that wide, so when I was sitting down, I was kind of near the edge of this, where the stairwell would be.
Isn't there a railing?
No.
Is there a railing?
No, Your Honor. We removed it after we moved in. I have some pictures.
I'd like to see it.
And there's some pictures of after pin was removed.
Oh, I see. So there is no railing. Who else was there when he confessed?
My mom and my sister.
Well, I'd like to hear from you. Yes. Tell me about the discussion that you had with Dustin that evening.
Well, at first when we'd asked, because I saw the cat was limping and nobody would say anything, so I kept asking the kids over and over again what had happened. Dustin was kind of nervous, and Devin told me that he had left the room. And then it told me about him playing with the cat. So I said, Dustin, what happened? Just tell us what happened. And then he said that when he was playing with her, that she started to bite him. So at first he said he went like this and just threw her down the stairs. Then I said, well, there had to have been more than that. So I kept asking him. And then he said, well, he went like this over the edge. And he said, so then he threw her that way.
So he didn't say he picked her up and threw her over the side?
No, but...
Okay. I just want to know what he said.
Okay.
You're 12?
Yeah.
And you're 12?
Yeah.
Well, they're certainly old enough to be home alone by themselves. So I can't fault you for not being there to supervise, but I also am not going to make an order that his parents be responsible for the medical bills for your cat. I mean, I don't think that he purposely did anything to hurt your cat. The cat nips because it's a kitten. But again, he's 12 years old. He doesn't have the intellect, you know, of somebody who's an adult. And he wanted to get the cat off. So let's say he took his hand and went like that, and the cat went over on the side as a reflex. There's nothing more than a reflex to get the cat off. You still think that he's responsible to pay for the vet bills for the cat?
Only because the vet told us there was no way the cat could have broken its leg in 5 places just from tossing off the side. She had to have been pretty much slammed to the ground to have broken it the way it did.
Did you ever have any indication that this young man would do anything to hurt an animal?
Well, the fact that he knew she was hurt and went back to play video games like nothing had happened.
Well, that's not a good thing, right? Tell me why you did that.
Well, first of all, I didn't know the cat was hurt.
Just a second. After the cat goes over, whether you went like this to get the cat off you because the cat was biting you, or whether you pushed the cat down the stairs to get the cat off of you, you had to have sat there for a second and watched what happened when the cat got up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you see the cat limping?
No.
Well, I don't necessarily believe that, Dustin. When you came back inside, did you tell Devin what had happened with the cat?
No.
Why not?
Because I didn't really know. I didn't really think it was like a huge deal because when the cat fell, it wasn't moving afterwards when I went up, back upstairs.
It wasn't moving?
No, but...
Well, weren't you worried if it wasn't moving? Dustin?
It was standing.
Do you have an animal at home? You have a dog or a cat?
Bird.
What if your bird was bothering somebody by chirping and the person had a headache and it went over and it rattled the cage really hard and the bird fell to the ground and broke a leg? Would you be angry?
Yes.
Would you think that the person ought to tell you that that's what happened?
Yes.
Do you think that you would have any responsibility? Or that they would have any responsibility?
Like, they would have some responsibility, but we would also have some because it was our bird that would got on the person's nerves.
The birds do what birds do. Yes. Birds sing. Kittens nip. And if you don't like it when the kitten is nipping you, then you don't play with the kitten. But Mrs. Block, I don't think that he did this on purpose. And I don't think that his parents had any indication that he had a predisposition to cruelty to animals, which in my judgment would make them responsible. If you have children in your house and you choose to leave 12-year-olds in your house unsupervised...
Morning, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
You used to be in love. You're not in love anymore. So now we're here. Is that right? So, Mr. Bruno, you say that Miss Ross, who used to be your love, owes you for two things. First, a loan for materials that you purchased to do a deck in her house.
Right.
Deck was falling apart. You're in that business. You said, I'll do a deck. According to you, you said, you pay for the materials, I'll do the labor as a labor of love. And the second loan is for a truck, $2,500, and you say that both of these things, repayment was promised by Miss Ross for both of these things. Miss Ross says, baloney. Miss Ross has some counterclaims. She was at your house one day, according to her, and she fell down a flight of stairs. You were still dating after that.
Yes.
Is that right? But you decided you might as well sue him for that. Now.
Well, my feeling was that it was ridiculous that it got to this point anyway. So if we were going to,
Dredge up old trash, we might as well get all the old trash
Exactly.
up. That's what we are. We are receptacles for trashy lawsuits. Not. Because if you fell down the flight of stairs at his house and you hurt yourself, you should have proceeded against his homeowners at the time. If you chose not to do that, don't bother me with it. The next thing that you're suing him for on the counterclaim, because I'm whittling down this lawsuit. I'm going to get to whittling down yours in a second.
No problem.
Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. The next thing that you're suing him for is you say that he started work on this deck of yours and he left it halfway and you want him to pay to have it finished.
Correct.
Unlikely, but a possibility. Third thing is you say he has some property of yours. Skis, what else?
He has all of my ski equipment.
Do you have her ski equipment?
No, I don't.
Where is it?
To my knowledge, it's in her basement.
You don't have it.
No, I have my daughters and my own.
He doesn't have it. Next.
He has a phone of mine, cordless
What kind of phone?
Cordless phone.
How did he get a cordless phone of yours?
One of his phones was not working properly, and he was, well, we were going to get married, and he was talking about going and getting another phone, and I said, well, let's just put that in your basement. That's
great, perfect. So you gave him a phone. So what else?
A cookbook and some kitchen utensils.
How
that
did
I
he
took
get
over
those?
I was over at his house cooking a lot, and they were left. There were items that I had not taken back home.
That you left there. Items that you left there.
Right. I never thought it would get to this.
It didn't. So with the exception of, I'll let you tell me the story about the deck. Forget about everything else. Okay, Mr. Bruno, tell me about the deck, the materials that you purchased, sir. Tell me where you were with her when you decided that you were going to fix this deck.
I was on my phone. We were discussing it.
Oh, tell me what the discussion was.
It was close. It was Mother's Day, a couple days before, and she has some puppies that were getting ready to be sold, and she was worried about the safety of people coming to view the deck or view the puppies, and didn't want them walking on the deck, so she was trying to figure out another route for them to go. And as a Mother's Day gift, I said, well, I'd take care of the deck so that she could have it sold, or not sold, but sell the puppies without worrying about people walking on it.
Great.
Just reimburse me once, when the puppies are sold or if you refinance your house. I would charge you no labor. That was my Mother's Day gift. Plus, I took her to dinner.
All right, now let me hear what the phone call was like, Ms. Ross.
He called me the morning of Mother's Day, and he said, I've decided what I want to do for you for Mother's Day. He said, I want to rebuild your deck. And I'm like, well, that's not something that I can afford to do at this point. Well, you know, this is something I want to do for you. You never let me do anything for you. I'm concerned about your safety on the deck. You're going to have people coming over to look at the puppies. Okay. He says, okay, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to pick up the materials, and I'll be over.
Now tell me about the truck.
Oh, I had been looking for a truck. I knew that once I sold the litter of puppies, that I would have the down payment for the truck. And I had been looking at different trucks, and he's saying, why don't you get that when you like it? And I'm like, no, because I don't have my down payment yet. So I think one truck slipped away from me twice at two different locations. I went and I looked at another truck. He came with me. I liked the truck. He's like, you should just get the truck. I'll just give you the money. He said, your birthday's coming up in September. And
when were the puppies sold?
The last puppy wasn't sold until the first week in August.
What kind of puppies were they?
Labrador retrievers.
How much did you get for the litter?
They sold for different amounts. The highest puppy being sold for $425. The majority of them were sold for $300.
How many puppies were there in the litter?
There ended up being 8.
So there's your $2,500, right? So you'd have had the money for your down payment.
Correct.
When did the two of you break up?
A day before Father's Day.
In June?
Yes, the 15th.
Okay, and when did you give her the $2,500?
May 25th.
So you give him back his $2,500, Miss Ross, because that's the right thing to do. So,
Your Honor.
Yeah.
I have a police report of when he came over to my house demanding back the engagement ring and all of this money that I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll give you the money. He comes in my house, he starts throwing things, so I had to call the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's an exceptionally high bid if she's just going to put it up to code, which in that case would be a handrail.
Then you should have finished it.
I would have loved to.
But you didn't.
And later today.
He only used electrical tape and wired 3 wires together, and it caught on fire.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Yes, it is, Your Honor. It's true.
That is not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephen Bruno says ex-fiancée Kathy Ross owes for a truck loan and for the cost to build an outside deck. Kathy says they were both presents.
Did you give him back his ring?
Yes.
Why did he have to come over to your house for the ring?
I have no idea why it even got to that in the first place.
Well, why don't you tell me, sir?
She wouldn't bring it back over, and when I did show up, she'd tell me, get the hell off her property, or what the hell was I doing there? And I told her I wanted the ring back and the money that I'd loaned her, and then I was out of there. And I didn't throw things, Your Honor. I threw a cell phone, which was mine, and that was all I threw.
All right, you lost your temper. That's not the right thing to do.
No, ma'am,
But
it
he gets his
isn't.
$2,500 back. Let me see pictures of the deck. Okay. Sort of left this job in the middle, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I loaned her the money for the truck, and I didn't have the money to finish the deck.
So what you're saying to me is you loaned her the money for the truck, and because you loaned her the money for the truck, you didn't have enough money for the materials for the rest of the deck.
In part.
You understand where I'm going, Mr. Bruno. That's what the problem is. You're trying to anticipate where I'm going. You took a house that looked okay. Now, it may not have been okay, but it looked okay.
It was an unsafe deck.
And it doesn't look okay now.
It's better than what it was, ma'am.
No, it wasn't. No.
Yes.
No.
People were
This is before,
They stepped through that
and this
deck.
is after. There's no railing. There's no guard railing.
No
Is that
railing.
right?
That's right.
And there's not even a full floor.
Right.
I got it. Can I see the cheapest estimate that you got to finish this deck? I think you say in your counterclaim that it was $1,800. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, this estimate is $1,200 to $1,400.
Right, and there's a big, the other one is for $3,200, and I don't know why the difference in the two is
I
so
don't know
large.
either.
And that's not to restore the deck back to the condition it was in. That's just to put up a hand railing and stairs from
And it
the
says to
porch.
bring the deck up to code.
Yes, ma'am, but it's
Okay.
not, I would not be able to use that deck the same way that I was using the other deck. I have no way to get from one part of my yard to the other.
I'm going to take the highest of this estimate, which is $1,200 to $1,400, because I think you're responsible for at least giving her some semblance of a deck back in her house.
Well,
You can't
if
just walk away from a gift. You started this, you have to finish it. And if you're not going to go to her house, and I can understand and finish it, somebody's going to have to. So she owes you $2,500 for the truck. From that, I'm deducting $1,400 for the deck. She owes you $1,100 for the truck.
Your Honor, in regards to that, that's an exceptionally high bid if she's just going to put it up to code, which in that case would be a handrail at $2 a foot.
Then you should have finished it,
I would have loved to.
but you didn't.
have
Judgment
the
for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100, which is the difference between fixing the deck and the $2,500 she owes you for the truck. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had conflicts with my family and didn't want to deal with it.
I didn't want to be like the rest of the in-laws and feel like I was shoved to the outside of that main core.
I think it was a little unfair because I know she wasn't telling the truth. We had an agreement prior to all this, but judge ruling is judge ruling.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Olshansky versus Longo. Step forward, please.
Administrative Assistant Elaine Olshansky is suing former friend, 23-year-old interior decorator Jason Longo, for a refund of his fee and for damage to her home. Jason is countersuing for the unpaid portion of his fee.
Ms. Olshansky, you hired the defendant to do some painting in your house.
Correct.
And paid him some $2,200. It's your claim that he did a lousy job. You want your money back, and not only do you want your money back, you want him to pay you to have some of the work that he did treated by somebody else. So you're suing him for even more than what you paid him. Mr. Longo said that he did a fine job, that you're angry about something else, and he was a friend of one of your children's. Is that right? That's how you knew him?
Correct.
Had he had experience in the painting and decorating business?
I was told he did.
How much work was he supposed to do?
He was supposed to do my dining room, and then we agreed verbally that he would do some extra painting.
Tell me what he was supposed to do, Miss Olshansky. Not just your dining room for $2,200. Come on.
What he did is he painted the dining room, and he painted the trim in the living room, and he had my son help him with...
What other rooms did he paint?
The living room and the hallway. And upstairs in our bathroom, he painted the bathroom vanity.
What work did you do in her house?
Our original agreement was to work on the dining room, which is where I started. As I was working on the dining room...
What were you supposed to do in the dining room?
The dining room, we were trying to remake the whole thing. She had gorgeous furniture to begin with. We were just removing the wallpaper that was existing.
Okay, so let's start that. You were removing wallpaper.
Yes.
What's next?
We decided on a color scheme for the dining room and a finish that we wanted to do in the lower half. Basically planned out the lighting fixture that we wanted and the colors that were going to be in the room, especially the lower half. We decided to do a faux finish and put a chair rail in the center.
Just a second. Now, then you did living room trim.
Yes, I did, at no charge.
And hall.
I did the crown molding in the hall.
And what about the vanity upstairs?
The vanity was part of our original agreement to do with the dining room. When she approached me about the dining room, she also said she was remodeling both bathrooms upstairs, and she had asked me what we could do with the vanity, and it was a wood, but because of the heat steam damage, it was kind of tarnished, so we decided to paint it, and we used a metallic paint to mimic the border tile that was upstairs.
Your Honor, it wasn't damaged. My upstairs vanity was not damaged. It was in perfect finish because he didn't prime that either. He just painted right over it very nicely.
Yes,
and
the
your
finish had
original
come
agreement
off,
was
the clear coat.
$2,200, is that right?
Yes, the work also included, though, the solarium room in the back of the house, which what happened was we started doing work in the dining room, and then as I was working in the dining room, Mrs. Olshansky purchased furniture for, I believe it was the living room, but decided that it wasn't going to work out, so we decided to redo their solarium area in the back. That was also included in the price that she paid me, and that was mainly interior decorating. There was no painting done out there. It was just making it into kind of like a cluttered area, into like a nice sitting room with new furniture, accessories, and
So what
such.
did you do in that area?
No painting was done, just accessorizing, purchasing accessories.
That's what you did?
That's correct.
Okay. So that sounds like a reasonable amount of money, $2,200. So what are you complaining about?
The paint is all peeling
Let me
everywhere
see.
he painted. I have many pictures.
Let me see where it's peeling.
Your Honor, I also have pictures of the before work and the during stage process work. I was not allowed to photograph the after work. The plaintiff did not allow me back into her home to do so.
You never asked.
Shh. This is an outside picture, is that right?
No, it isn't. That's the
That's
back
the
porch.
solarium.
Those are the wires hanging where he did wiring, and it caught on fire because he only used electrical tape and wired 3 wires together, and it caught on fire.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Yes, it is, Your Honor. It's true.
Your Honor, I have a degree in fire protection technology, and I've been in school and been with the fire service for 6 years. It's not true.
Who did the wiring,
Okay.
Jason?
You have a fire marshal's report?
No. We just
Okay.
unplugged it and put the fire out.
I have no idea where you say the paint is peeling. You show me in those at the blow-ups.
Your Honor,
These
would
are
you like
there.
to see my pictures?
Yeah. I find it very hard to look at these blow-ups, so don't show me your... Don't you have regular pictures?
I use a digital camera, so I have to print them out. First set of pictures starts with the dining room before. Your Honor, her son also helped me paint. I'd like to see the pictures to make sure that's my work.
Absolutely. Well, whether it's your work or her son's work, it doesn't make any difference. You were the contractor.
Your Honor, I also have estimates.
For what?
To repair the damage that was done.
I'm not going to give you any amount of money to repair damage. I've seen the photographs. If you're not satisfied with the job that he did, I suggest you not give him any recommendation.
The pictures show peeling paint. It's latex painted over oil base, which peels like rubber.
Ma'am, this is the letter from the company that I use.
Put it down. Where was the paint peeling? In what room?
Every room, at every spot, it peels off because it's latex over oil. I have.
What do you mean every room and every spot?
All
I've
of
seen.
them.
Look, listen to me.
All the trim
I
work.
saw
just the
these-
trim. Just the trim is painted latex over oil. And I asked him, I questioned him. I said, I don't believe that you can put latex over oil. And he said, you can as long as you prepare properly.
Your Honor, that was her initial concern, and I did acknowledge that that was an issue that we had to take into account. However, I knew that you could paint latex over oil paint. The dining room was sanded down. The other rooms I cannot account for because I came in midway through the whole
Which
situation.
other rooms?
The dining room was the only room I personally painted myself completely.
No, you painted all of the trim in the living room, and you had Peter, without charge, help you get through painting
Right, and
the
I was
hallway.
also without charge helping the hallway and the living room.
You know, charges...
Just a second. Is that true?
If
That
you
your original estimate was for the dining room and the
Upstairs
vanity.
Correct.
And the other
And the decoration
trim
of the
that
solarium.
he did either helping you out with your son or whoever else was helping him out. Was it your son who was helping him?
Yes.
And that was as a favor?
No, the work wasn't as a favor.
That's a lie.
He agreed to paint in those rooms also.
That is not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
If you're not satisfied, don't give him a recommendation, Miss Olshansky.
Your Honor,
That's all.
what happened was...
What? Listen to me. You're not losing.
I understand.
If you had some sort of a falling out that involves a social issue, which you seem to suggest here involving her son, that has absolutely nothing to do with me, that has nothing to do with this case. Ms.
That's correct.
Olshansky is complaining about a subjective look at work, which she says is below par. And I'm saying, based on what I see, the rooms as painted look just fine to me.
It's just the trim, not the wall.
Well, then get somebody to fix the trim. And what are you suing him for $3,000 for, which is more than even you paid him?
That's what the estimates are.
Get your son to do it. Strip down the trim if you're not happy with it and repaint it in either latex or flat or whatever color you like.
Your Honor, may I say
You
something
had your
else?
practically your whole house done. Don't say anything. You're not losing. What's your problem?
I just want to let her know she had complained about the amount that I had charged her, and she was saying that I basically owed her to do the rest of the rooms and that I owed her to do the repairs based
didn't
off the
say
amount that that I charged her for. And I have I have documents that show that she has discounts in excess of $2,500 that I had given her because she was a friend of mine. So if she's saying that I overcharged her, it's completely untrue.
Excuse me,
Just a
Your
second.
Honor.
She's not complaining you overcharged her,
She's
sir.
complaining-
She's not complaining that you overcharged her. She knows that for the amount of work she had done in her house, she was getting a bargain. She knows that. Her problem is the bargain turned out to be not such a bargain because she
nightmare.
wasn't happy with some of the trim.
Matter of Magliazzo versus Conroy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Magliazzo, this is your son. Tell me his name.
Dylan Magliazzo.
Dylan. All right, he's going to stand right behind you. According to your complaint, your son was run over by the defendant in a parking lot.
Right.
Is there somebody who can take care of him outside?
My brother.
Well, do you want to take him outside and let your brother take care of him?
Mommy.
Good. According to your complaint, the defendant ran over your son's leg in a parking lot. He was in a truck, and you want him to pay your medical bills and for your son's pain and suffering.
Right.
Mr. Conroy said, in effect, you should have been watching him more closely as he was running around the parking lot. I might have responded somewhat differently, Mr. Conroy. What kind of truck were you driving that day, sir?
A Dodge pickup truck.
Big truck.
Half-ton.
And your son suffered no broken legs, is that right, madam?
Right.
If a half-ton truck ran over a 2-year-old's leg, which according to you happened, that child would not have walked out of this courtroom today.
Well, he did.
Impossible. Impossible for him to have run over the child's leg with a half-ton truck and not had a broken bone. And if he did, he was a very lucky little boy. Very lucky. So if he was so lucky, what I want to know from you is, why are you here?
First of all, when he did hit my son...
Just a second, let's go back. So you're really going to go through with this. You're in a parking lot, is that right? What were you doing in the parking lot?
My son wasn't running around
What were you doing in the parking lot?
Standing out front. My son wanted to watch
Shh! You were standing out front of what?
the parking lot where my son's father lives.
You have a picture of where this happened?
I do.
Can I see it, please? What time of the year was this?
August.
So there was no snow on the ground like there is in this picture. I want you to have her take a pen, Bird, and mark down where she was standing with the child at first, and then where the child was allegedly run over by the defendant. Where she was standing?
Right here.
And where the child was run over by the...
Right here.
Thank you.
That's where she was, and that's where she says the child was hit.
So you tell me what happened, madam. You're standing outside the parking lot with your son.
Right. And my son wanted to watch the electric company. They were putting power lines there. He wanted to see the big trucks. So we're standing out there. My son's...
How many people? You, your son, and who else?
10 or 12 other people.
And were there other children?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My son had walked away from me, and I went to go grab him. And Mr. Conroy pulled in the parking lot and then reversed his truck back. Obviously didn't look in his mirrors to see that my son was behind his truck. Hit my son in his head, knocked him over, then was on top of my son's leg. Me and my son's father were screaming and yelling, banging on the man's truck to get off my son's leg. He just looked at us like he didn't know what was going on or anything. Like, it's not even that he didn't know what was going on. We told him, you're on my son's leg, get off my son's leg. And he just looked at us like we were out of it. And finally, after the electric company, the guys from the electric company ran over and everybody ran over, I think he finally realized he was on my son's leg. Well, he pulled his truck up, got off my son's leg, not coming over to see if my son's okay, if he hurt my son, not asking.
When he got off your son's leg, who picked up your son?
I did.
Then did you put him down on the ground?
No.
You didn't let him walk to see if he was okay?
Oh, I picked him up, yeah, and he couldn't even stand on his leg. His leg was like that swollen. I then immediately took him to the emergency room.
Why weren't you watching him more carefully?
I was watching him.
No, you weren't.
He obviously wasn't watching where he's going because he knows kids are in that parking lot every day.
Listen to me, madam. You weren't watching him carefully enough.
So that gives him the right to not...
Listen to me, madam. You weren't watching him carefully enough. How old was he?
2.
And you're in a parking lot, is that right?
In front of a parking lot.
You're in a parking lot.
Right.
Now, I have 8 grandchildren, and I'm still have sufficient brain power to remember when my children were little. When my children were little and I had a 2-year-old, or when I'm walking around with one of my 2-year-old grandchildren in a parking lot, they hold my...
He did have my hand.
He did have your hand?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, shh, quiet. He did have your hand. Then is what you're telling me that when Mr. Conroy hit him and knocked him over, you were holding onto his hand?
No.
So you weren't holding his hand?
No.
Right. What I'm saying to you, madam, is when I'm in a parking lot with my 2-year-old grandchild, or I see my children walking with their children when we pull into a parking lot, we're going someplace, they run out, grab the hand, because they know they're not allowed to cross a street without holding somebody's hand. They're not allowed to be in a parking lot without holding somebody's hand. So
Right, but
you weren't holding his hand.
I mean, if you drive a truck, don't you look in your mirrors to see if there's anybody behind you?
I'm not saying that he's without fault. I'm saying to me, you seem to think it's all his fault, and it's not.
Oh, I know it's
You're the parent. It's primarily your fault. Now, should he have been watching where he was going? Absolutely. And should he have been more careful if he saw a lot of other people there? Absolutely. And sometimes there's a little child dart out so that even if you are careful, you can miss him? Absolutely. You're not supposed to miss him. That's your only job.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How am I to know if he was drunk?
How am I to know you weren't drunk? Only a parent who might be drunk or under the influence of something would let a 2-year-old march around by himself in a parking lot. That's what you did. That's what you did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Magliazzo says her 2-year-old son Dylan was run over by Michael Conroy. Michael says the boy was running around in the parking lot of a bar.
Your only job and his father's only job that day was to make sure that your 2-year-old was holding on to an adult's hand in a parking lot. Right?
Right.
Right. And if you weren't, so that you were acting irresponsibly as a parent, and if you're lucky enough to have gotten away with a warning from God that this is what can happen to you. You can lose your child if you're not more careful, because he wasn't hurt, because he clearly walked out of here.
He has sleeping problems.
That's your problem.
No, it's not.
Well, whose is it? His?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that's what a lawyer told you. Did you go to see a lawyer?
Yeah.
Now, what'd the lawyer tell you? Pretty much the same thing as what I'm telling you? That's why you're here. Well, he says you have a child in a parking lot. You're supposed to hold their hand.
Does that give him the right to not see
It's not a matter of right. Don't you seem to get it? He's driving in a truck, and I'm not saying he's without blame. You walked in here saying to me it's all his fault. He ran over my child. He didn't care. He was callous. We kept knocking on the window. You think that this man had a predetermined position to knock your son over, a 2-year-old over, run him over, and when you were banging at the door to tell him to get off your son, that he said, hell with them, I'm just going to keep my truck on his legs?
No, because how am I to know if he was drunk?
How are you to know? I don't know. How am I to know you weren't drunk?
Oh, I was
Only a parent who might be drunk or under the influence of something would let a 2-year-old march around by himself in a parking lot. That's what you did. That's what you did. Now let me see the medical bills and let me see the report from the police.
One of the medical bills was already paid.
Good.
By his
That's what
insurance
you're supposed to
company.
do. Then I'll get to you, Mr. Conroy. Now, when did the police contact you, Mr. Conroy?
About an hour and a half to 2 hours after the accident.
Why did you go home?
I waited around about 45 minutes to an hour. Police to come, talk to the father. I said, if anybody comes, contact me.
Okay. Final reports. No fracture, no dislocation, and everything else is normal there. Then we go to 3 days later. They also found nothing wrong with the child at that point, and you took the child in there because you said he was having trouble sleeping.
He was waking up crying, saying in the truck.
The reason that you could not get a lawyer to take your case is because your son was not injured. Not every act requires people to take the matter a step further and bring on a lawsuit. You should feel, as I indicated before to you, very, very lucky that despite what could have happened to your son, because you were not vigilant in taking care of him, and because Mr. Conroy probably should have been more careful when he was driving his truck when he saw other kids and people around in the parking lot, despite that, your son was not hurt. The only thing that was reported by you was 3 days later, you went back to the hospital and you said he's having trouble sleeping. That's why you could not get a lawyer to take your case, because in order for there to be liability, there has to be an injury, and there was none. Now, it's possible that your son's going to have, even at his age, a bad recollection for a while about what happened when he was knocked down by a truck. That's possible, but it will pass. He was 2 years old.
But it's a...
And it will pass.
But it's a sleeping disorder. It's a post-traumatic sleeping disorder.
Let me explain something to you, madam. Don't tell me what it is. Are you a psychiatrist?
No, but that's what the doctors...
I'm not interested in what you tell me that the doctors say, because that's not what it says here. And I'm telling you, you're going to have another baby?
Yes.
This is your second child?
Third.
Third child. How old are you?
19.
19. I would suggest that you pay more careful attention to your children at age 19. It's your job to take care of them. At 19, you shouldn't have 3 children to begin with. If you have to take care of them.
I do take care of my kids.
And not put the responsibility of taking care of your children onto somebody else. It was not his responsibility to watch out for your child in the parking lot that day. It was your responsibility and his child's father. And the fact that there was almost an accident, a tragic accident, because your son could have been really hurt or killed or worse, is not his fault. It's your fault. He is partially responsible, and if the child was hurt, I might have found him partially responsible for the child's medical bills.
So it's okay.
But he was not hurt. And for that, you should say, thank God, and not bring a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I screamed for him to get off my son's leg, and he just looked at me.
When I did hear him, I did stop. That's why I didn't run over the child.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Shrek versus Hagar. Step forward, please.
26-year-old employment specialist Catherine Schreck is suing her former lover, railroad conductor Brian Hager, for an unpaid loan to get back on his feet.
Ms. Schreck, the defendant used to be your boyfriend. According to you, you made a loan to him in the amount of $1,000. Mr. Hager says that you did, in fact, give him $1,000. It was just that, a gift, not a loan. When was this $1,000 check, and it was a check, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Given to Mr. Hager?
The check was written on January 22nd, 2002, and it was cashed on January 24th, 2002.
Tell me the circumstances of the check, Ms. Schreck.
He was unemployed at the time.
Tell me of the circumstances of the check.
The check.
Ms. Schreck.
Mr. Hager was unemployed at the time, and he was also experiencing other financial hardships. And
how long had you been dating him at the time?
Approximately 3 weeks. He had disclosed that his ex-girlfriend was possibly pregnant and that he was the father. At that point, I had determined that I did not want to further the relationship beyond a friendship. However, I felt bad for him at the situation that he was in at the time. He had expressed that he was waiting for his tax return to come in.
Just a second. So if his ex-girlfriend thought she was pregnant, what did that have to do with money?
He didn't need money for that. It was just added stress in his life.
Who cares?
I cared. He was my friend at the time. I felt bad.
What were
for
you
him.
doing?
I'm a facilitator for San Bernardino Jobs and Employment Services Department. I teach welfare recipients how to get jobs.
Good. Oh, you should have taught him. What kind of work were you doing at the railroad, sir?
I'm a conductor.
And you were let go?
No, ma'am. I was just laid off temporarily due to a slowdown.
For how long?
6 months.
And what did you do during that 6-month period?
Things are hard everywhere, so I just I collected railroad unemployment.
How much?
It's $1,000 a month.
And where were you living?
I own a home.
And you have a mortgage?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the mortgage?
Mortgage was $1,700.
So you were really short. Where'd you get the other money from? Did you have savings?
Yes, ma'am. I had money saved up in my bank account.
Now, you tell her that you're having some financial difficulties, and so what did you do?
So I offered to give him a loan.
What did you say to him? What did he say to you?
I said, my father just gave me $1,000 for Christmas. I just received my student financial aid. I don't need it at the time, but I will need it in several months. He said that he was expecting his tax return, and as soon as he got that, he would pay me back.
Okay,
so
where were
in
you?
the span of 2 months.
Where were you when you had this conversation with him?
At his home.
Remember what date it was? Was it the 22nd of January?
Yes, it was.
That's not true, Your Honor. When she had given me the check...
Tell me about why you would tell this lady that you're having any financial trouble anyway.
Well, she could just tell that I was stressed. We were upstairs in my room, we were just talking, watching TV, and she just, she said, what's the matter? I said, well, I'm stressed out right now because, I'm having some financial problems with being laid off. She said, well, I got plenty of money. Why don't you just let me help you out? And I said, no, it'll be okay. I'm going to be going back to work. We talked about it for a little bit longer, and once again I said, no, it'll be all right. And I went downstairs, got a drink of water. I was coming back upstairs. She met me halfway. She said, I'm going to go home. I have to go to work in the morning. I left you a surprise upstairs in your room. And I went back upstairs to my room, and there was a check for $1,000.
So what'd you do?
I called her cell phone and said, why'd you leave me this money? She said, because I care about you, and I want to see, I want to see you be okay. She said, just consider it a gift.
I don't know if she said that. Listen to me. Shh. Are you her mother? You hear the story that he just told? That's more real than what she told me. So you can laugh all you like. That's pretty much what happened, except just consider it a gift. That she didn't say. Don't go overboard, Mr. Hager. When you're ahead of the game, don't stretch the truth. The truth was pretty good for a while. Probably was a gift. I don't believe that you asked her for a loan, that there was a repayment schedule. I mean, I don't believe any of that. You have to understand that, Ms. Schreck. But now I have a question for you, because I was interested. When I wanted to hear what you had to say, Mr. Hager, I believe you, that that's how it came about.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's what she would do. And she said, I cared about him being stressed. That's what girls do when they're in like. But then she was no longer in like with you, and you were no longer in like with her, and then we got the $1,000 that you've already spent, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you look like a sort of responsible young man. How old are you?
29.
And you own your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it didn't work out with her. So wouldn't a responsible man of 29 years old, a homeowner, you own your own car, I'm sure you have a bank account, you told me you lived off savings.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? But then you went back to work. Why didn't you start giving her back this money?
She had told me it was a gift.
Mr. Hager, she's not your mother, is she?
No, ma'am.
She's not a sister. She's not even your best friend, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So then what a moral person does is say, you helped me out, I needed it, we're not together, I want to start paying you back this $1,000, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that what a moral person does?
Yes, ma'am.
So you do want to be a moral person, don't you, Mr. Hager?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step 15 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Green.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Lee, you purchased a vacation package from the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you could not use the package because it turned out to be non-transferable. You want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant has a different story, which I will allow him to tell me briefly. Where did you get this vacation package from?
Girlfriend.
Man, a few words. You got it from another girlfriend.
Another girlfriend, yes, ma'am.
Was the plaintiff a girlfriend of yours or just a friend?
Just a friend.
Now, when this girlfriend gave you the package, were you supposed to accompany her, or did she give it to you to go by yourself?
Well, I was supposed to accompany her on the trip, but I decided I didn't want to go.
When had she purchased it for you?
Back in August sometime.
And when did you decide not to use it?
About a week after she gave me the ticket, I decided not to use it.
Why didn't you give it back to her?
She didn't want it back. I just put the ticket up in the closet. She thought I was going to change my mind. She thought I was going to change my mind and go along with her. And I just put the ticket in the closet and just left it there.
So you didn't pay for the ticket?
No, I didn't.
And you didn't tell her right away that you had absolutely no intention of going and you're going to give her back the ticket?
She didn't want the ticket back.
Did you say to her, here's the ticket, I'm not going with you, I'm going to rip it?
She did not want the ticket back.
It's not my question. Did you hand her the ticket and say, I'm not using this ticket?
Miss Young lives in New York City. I live in Richmond, Virginia.
Yes.
We spoke on the phone. I told her I was not going on the trip. She told me to keep the ticket. I probably would change my mind, and I told her I wasn't going to change my mind, and I had the ticket.
How did it come about that you sold the ticket to Miss Lee?
I met Mary. She was in a beauty shop across the street from my house. Someone introduced me to her, and we were talking. A couple of days later, she came over, and she was in my bed, and I was talking on the phone about the ticket to Aruba. And
who were you talking to?
A friend, another young lady on the phone. And she decided that, she said, well, I'll go. So I didn't say anything. I just kept talking. And when I got off the phone, she wanted to know could she purchase a ticket. And I said, yes. She gave me $200 deposit. She gave me a $200 deposit in cash at that moment. She wrote a statement out. I told her if she wasn't here the next day to purchase a ticket with the balance of the money, she would lose her deposit.
You told her that as she was putting on her stockings, sir?
No, they were off.
So you told her, I'm taking your $200. if you're not here by tomorrow with the balance of the money, you're going to forfeit the $200.
Yes.
Then you would have gotten a free ticket that you paid nothing for, plus her $200. That would have been you spending money on your trip.
I wasn't going on the trip.
He must have something that I don't see. All right, Miss Lee, let's come to you because I'm getting a little nauseous from him. You bought the ticket. You gave him how much?
This was my second date with Mr. Green. Mr. Green telephone rang. A gentleman called wanting to buy these tickets for $1,000.
Listen to me, Miss Lee. Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Person of good judgment you are not, because I've listened to him for a total of 5 minutes and I could tell he's not worth very much. Okay? Not a person of good character. So you gave him how much money in total for the ticket?
I gave him a total of $700.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so you purchased the ticket and he gave you the ticket. Were you able to use the ticket?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
The ticket was not changed into my name, and I did not have a new reservation number for the resort hotel by the time I got in Aruba. I got stopped in the Richmond International Airport as being a thief of stealing his ticket.
Was this ticket including airfare?
Including airfare,
Okay.
round-trip ticket, and hotel.
Okay. Were you able to use the airfare?
No, ma'am.
So you weren't able to use the airfare, so you couldn't get there?
I couldn't get there.
Let me see the ticket that you have, please. You went there with his ticket?
Because yes, ma'am.
You went there with his ticket?
To the airport, yes, ma'am, on October 7th.
She did never go to the airport. When I tried to have the ticket changed, I needed a social security number and a date of birth to change the ticket. She would never give me a social security number and her date of birth so I can have the ticket changed. Yes. And at one point, she was calling me in the middle of the night, cursing, drunk, talking about, I want you to go on a trip with me, then we'll go on a trip. I said, no, I'm not going on a trip, and if you don't give me the social security number and date of birth, there's nothing I can do.
Why didn't you just have her call the travel agent and give them her date of birth?
She wouldn't do it.
Really?
I gave her the telephone number to the travel agent. She wouldn't do it.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Green. After the night that you sold her this ticket, were you intimate with her again?
No.
Never?
Never.
Yeah.
Is there any reason for that?
When I called her, she didn't want to be bothered.
But you did call her again?
Yeah, quite a few times. And
After she bought the ticket?
I didn't bring the tapes.
Just answer my question.
I did not bring...
You're not answering my question. I'm in charge.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Judge.
Go ahead, Judge.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Green, after you spent an intimate night, he was sufficiently dissatisfied with your performance so as not to want to see you again. Did that make you angry, sir?
And later today...
You want to speak. I want you to open your mind, start receiving. Don't be sending out. Receive what I'm saying, because it's something that you don't know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Lee says ex-boyfriend Willie Green owes for the cost of a bogus vacation package. Mary says she bought the tickets from him after their second date.
So, Mr. Green, let me understand this. She came and gave you the money for the ticket after you spent an intimate night, and evidently was sufficiently dissatisfied with your performance so as not to want to see you again. Did that make you angry, sir?
No, it doesn't.
Really? I think, Mr. Green, that you are not out any money, sir, because you didn't pay for this ticket. There are 3 people who were involved in this ticket. Let me understand this. There's Miss Lee, who paid $700 to you for the ticket. There's Miss Young, who bought you the ticket, right?
Right.
And paid whatever she paid for the ticket. Let's say she paid $1,000 for the ticket.
Paid $1,400.
Paid $1,400 for the ticket. So she paid $1,400, Miss Young. She paid $700. You paid zippo, nada, and you get $700. Is that right? That's what you think is going to happen? Wrong. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
With Mr. Green being a retired police officer, I expect him to have better standards.
She wanted me to go on a trip with her, and I just refused to go on a trip with her.
I just wanted to have a good vacation. I saved up some money, and I wanted a Richmond, Virginia. That's all. And he cheated me, and he's a womanizer.
She's a jilted lover.
It's not accurate. He's the womanizer and the jilted lover. He's out to get whatever he can get from anyone.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus Smith. Step forward, please.
26-year-old cosmetologist Crystal Smith is suing her aunt, daycare provider Veronica Smith, for the value of a 3-wheel ice cream bike. Veronica says the bike was stolen from her garage. She has a countersuit for unpaid rent and carpet cleaning fees.
Miss Smith, the defendant is your aunt.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she owes you for some sort of a bicycle that you were storing in her house that was stolen.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Me and my auntie, Veronica, we had made up agreement for us to sell candy out of her garage. Me and my husband, we supplied candy, snowballs, any kind of snacks.
So this bicycle was not a bicycle that you ride on, it was...
It was like a 3-wheeler, a tracker.
Have a picture of it?
I have not a photo picture, but I went on the internet and went online and got on their site. I have internet.
What one looks like,
yes.
so that I have some idea of what it looks like. Okay, let me see it, please.
That's a model like it. The difference in that model.
Okay, so it's a bicycle that has it's a bicycle but has this little thing
with
on top.
With the cooler system in the back with the umbrella.
And this is what you kept in her garage?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
She said she took it out of the garage. She forgot about the bike, left it out, and it came up stolen.
When was it stolen?
It was stolen on a Saturday night.
Do you know what happened?
It was stolen on Saturday night, so that particular night that we was in my garage, me and my family, we were playing some cards that night. So the bike was too big, so I didn't like no smoking in my house, so we was out there. And so I put the bike between my garage door and my car. It was in between. So some between Saturday night and Sunday, the bike got stolen. So in the first place, I did not give Krista Smith a permission to bring any bike to my house for any reason.
How long had it had the bike?
The bike had been there for...
Let me finish.
Okay.
How long had the bike been there before it was stolen?
The bike was been there for like 2 months. At the time that I told Krista for about 2 months to come and give her belongings out of my house. I kept saying, get the bike out of my house, get your stuff out of my house.
Did your aunt ever say to you, come and get your stuff out of the garage and house?
We had a get-together over one of my other auntie's house, my Aunt Mary. That night she mentioned, she said, I've been meaning to call you. I wanted to tell you to come and get the rest of the stuff out the garage. I said, I'm going to get a U-Haul, not this weekend, but next weekend, and I'll be over there to get the rest of the stuff that was there, because it was more than just the bike actually in the garage.
What was all your stuff doing in her garage?
We had a store set up in the back of her garage.
Why? Why?
We had started a business, and we had rented out an area that we were leasing. And the lease, the contract had got canceled. So in between time, I had called up my Aunt Veronica, and we had talked on the phone. Before we had actually opened up the store, she said we can come and store my belongings that I had there at her house.
How many times did your aunt tell you to get the stuff out of her garage?
Once.
When? Give me the date.
I don't know the exact date, because it was a weekend. We was over my Aunt Mary's house.
Do you know the date?
July 1st.
And when was the bike stolen?
The bike was stolen in August. August the 12th, 13th, whatever.
Okay.
And that was the agreement was on. They would pay me $75 a week for selling the candy out of the garage. They never did pay me any money but once. They gave me $50 once. So after that, they would start bringing stuff to my house, bicycles, radios, and TVs and stuff. And as I said, hey, wait, hold up. So I couldn't got nowhere to put my stuff in my own house, in my garage and stuff. You guys got to, come get your stuff. They never could come get their stuff out of my garage. And after I tried to get in touch with Krista about the bike being stolen, for 2 weeks later, that's when she called me. And she called me on the phone, and then they started making threats against me, telling me they're going to burn my house down.
When did you make the agreement with her about renting the space to sell the candy?
Around in June.
And the bike was stolen in August.
Right.
So that they had your permission, at least your niece had your permission, to keep the bike in your garage.
No. She had only permission to sell candy, not bring bikes and stuff.
I'm not talking about bikes. I'm talking about this bike. This was the one that was stolen, right?
Right. That's what I
So
stole.
you knew that this was the one she was going to sell the candy from.
But I didn't know that she was going to. She didn't ask me to bring no bikes or anything down to my house.
Miss Smith, you're not paying attention to me. Maybe you're not following me. The law says that if you allow someone to store something in your garage, you want to speak. I want you to open your mind, start receiving. Don't be sending out. Receive what I'm saying, because it's something that you don't know. If you say to her, you can sell candy out of my garage and keep this in my garage, or even if you don't have an agreement with her for money, but you say, all right, you want to store it in my garage? I'll let you store it in my garage. And then at some point you say, listen, you got to come get your stuff out. You are still in a position where you have to exercise some ordinary care over her property. But what you did was you put this bike outside and then forgot about it. But for the fact that you brought it outside and forgot to bring it inside, it would have been inside. There was nothing else taken from the garage, right?
No.
So, this, you're responsible for.
But I did not give her permission to bring any bikes or anything down to my house.
Yes, you did, because you just told me, and you have a counterclaim. In addition to that, the reason I know that you did, because you have a counterclaim for rent.
I have a counterclaim for...
Shh. You're not receiving. You have a counterclaim for rent, and in your counterclaim, you said you had an agreement with your niece to sell candy out of your garage, and that they were going to pay you $75 a week starting June 1st.
Yes.
You also said that they damaged your carpet.
Right.
I have something to add.
When?
The mess was not made because we were not on carpet. The carpet is only upstairs in the dining room. In the basement is the concrete flooring. In the garage, it's the same thing.
Who purchased this candy wagon? Who
Me and
purchased
my
it?
husband went together and purchased.
Let me see when this piece of equipment was purchased.
Here's the receipts.
You paid $2,500 for this thing?
Yes.
Now you have a store. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you stop selling candy?
I'll say the week of the 4th of July.
So why didn't you get the bike out of her house until August?
Officially, we were still open for business. She did not tell us to...
That's not what I asked you. Why didn't you get the bike out when you stopped using it for business?
The week of the 4th, we could not sell any candy out of her premises because she said she was going to be out of town and we could not be there.
Fine, so that's out of town. When did she come back into town?
That following week. She was only...
Why didn't you start to sell your candy again?
Relocated with a new place of business.
So why didn't you get the bike out of her garage?
Because the candy and the bike and everything that we own were still stored in the garage as well.
How much did you pay her for the storage?
The storage was supposed to be $50.
How much did you pay her for the storage?
We did not have a storage fee set up. All we had set up was a weekly fee for the candy.
How much did you pay her?
The agreement was $50 a week. It was not $75 a week.
Fine. How much did you pay her?
I paid her $50.
You didn't pay for 3 weeks in June, nothing in July, and nothing till
the whole 2 months that we were there, we didn't sell candy the whole 2 months.
Why should she take care of your stuff? She told you to move your stuff in July.
The bike got stolen between the 27th of July and the first week of August?
When was the bike stolen?
About 20. August 20.
2 seconds ago, you told me it was the 15th.
It was stolen in August. It was stolen in
12th.
August.
It was stolen the last week of
it was
July,
stolen
the
in
first
August.
week of August.
Show me. How do you know?
The 23rd of August is my brother's birthday.
Oh, please, give me a break. Listen, you left this thing here. It was her fault. It was her fault that this got stolen because she took it and she put it outside and she forgot to bring it back. You show a bill for $2,500.
Yes.
You expect her to pay you $2,500 for this?
I have a receipt.
No way in this earth is she going to pay you $2,500. You took advantage of her. You took advantage of her good nature. You were storing your stuff there. She had to, in order to accommodate herself and her friends playing cards, move your stuff around. She told you to move it. You said, I don't have to move it. I'll move it when I get good and ready.
No, I did not.
No, you did not. I'm going to tell you something. She has some responsibility. But she has this much responsibility, and you have this much responsibility. She has $200 worth responsibility. You have the rest. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. Now, let's get to your carpet cleaning. Forget it. Let's get to your rent. Forget it. Do you understand? Forget it. don't do any more favors, and don't let any more of your relatives store stuff in your property, because ultimately, if something happens, they're going to come looking for you for money. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Sanquist, Ms. Perez and you were friends at one time,
Yes.
and you agreed to babysit for her children while she was working.
Yes.
According to you, the arrangement was you were going to get paid, and then you would fill out some paperwork because she was entitled to child care from the state.
Mhm.
And then you would accept the money that she got from the state for babysitting. Was that your agreement?
No, we had agreement, and when I first began babysitting, that when she receives her income tax, she will pay me. So I will watch them for $45 a day for 3 days a week, and that she will pay me when she gets her money from income tax.
When did you start to babysit for her?
In the month of December of last year.
And how many children do you have?
3, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing in December of